Hello everyone and welcome. Sit back, relax, make a cup of tea or whatever you like to drink and get ready for news stories from YellowCat. Send your own favorite stories in the comments below and maybe they'll be in our new video. So subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. Let's get started. What prompted you to resign from your job on the spot? Part 2. The year 2016 saw me as Director of Mall Security. Many of you may remember the riots in malls on December 26th that year. My mall was one of them. For the next year, I kept asking my company, security contractor, and the client, the company that owned the mall, to put in place things like curfews for teens, more police, and other things to try to keep it from happening again. I was always told no because it would cost too much money. Because making money always comes before people. It was the worst job I've ever had to be security director. The money was fine, but it was salary, and holy H was that a scam. I had to answer the phone and or talk to the mall 24/7, 365, even when I was on vacation. It happened twice in 4 weeks that I had to go to the mall for some reason, even though my days off were supposed to be Sunday and Monday. Now it's November 2017, and the Monday before Thanksgiving to be exact. After the second 4 weeks I talked about above, I was taking the day off before the crazy shopping at the malls during the holidays. That is, until my boss calls me and says that my company wants to talk about plans for the holidays on a conference call. I let my boss know that I won't be coming into the office today, but I will take the call. When I answer the phone, it's my boss, 2 vice presidents, the CEO, and all the security directors. I remind the CEO that 1, I was promoted less than a month before the riot, so I had nothing to do with planning it. This comes after I was scolded for 15 minutes for the riot the year before. 2, for the past year, I've been asking for help, but everyone has turned me down. I was ignored once more. When the CEO asks me for the Thanksgiving week schedule, I tell him I don't have it because I'm at home. I tell him that Monday is my day off, but that wasn't enough for him, so he tells me to come into the office. I tell them to wait 10 minutes and I'll be in. My wife heard everything. Don't quit, she tells him, but here are 2 empty boxes. After 11 minutes, I got to work and the CEO called to see if I was there. They needed to go over the schedule and talk about how badly my mall needed help, etc. Chris, I'm in my office, I tell him. It's being cleaned out now that I quit, though. Merry Christmas, and put the phone down. I got to spend the holidays with my family for the first time in 5 years. No regrets. A bigger company was going to buy the small business I worked for, about 50 employees. I had a very few small problems with the new contracts, like the fact that your picture could be used in media for as long as they wanted, that my current benefits were not recognized, and that they would continue. I also had problems with you ignoring all of my questions and not answering them for days at a time. Next, I'm sitting at my desk in an open office with only 4-foot-tall walls. If I lift my head from my chair, I can see everything in the office. I can hear the owner and the CEO of the business talking to the HR person about 30 feet away at the coffee machine. I'm being so hard to deal with that the CEO is telling HR how ridiculous I am. The HR woman laughed and agreed, then went back to her meeting with the buyer's rep. I put my keys and key fob down when I walked into her office and told her I heard what she and the CEO said. As I packed my things, I told her I'd be leaving that same day. It was Wednesday around 5 p.m. and almost everyone was gone. They thought I was too. So the HR lady follows me around the office for almost 40 minutes while I put away all the company stuff I used every day and gather my personal things from all over the place. As the IT engineer, I had several closets and storage areas where I kept our equipment. I also kept personal items in those areas because I used them often for work. As she follows me around, she kept saying, "I'll think about it until tomorrow. We'll look at the contract. CEO and I didn't mean what we said." During the 3 years I worked there, I did work that saved the company hundreds of thousands of dollars in contractor fees, in addition to what I normally did from 7 to 5 every day. Things that were not part of my job. Even though I had to work on the weekends and after hours, I enjoyed the work and loved my job, so it was worth it to me. It also saved the company a lot of money because I did it myself. The CEO came out just as I was finishing packing up my things and making my desk ready for the next person to come in. We were the only ones left in the office at this point. He said the same things that the HR woman said, but he never said sorry. I walked my things out the back door and put them in my car, making several trips because I pretty much lived at work. I then started my car and drove off. World's best feeling. It was fun to work as a server at this fancy martini bar of mine. I went there one day about a week into my stay, and the manager was so drunk that he lost consciousness. He then got into a fight with the DJ and broke all of their gear. I felt terrible for the DJ because they were so upset. I told the manager to go home. When I got back to work the next night, I saw that the manager had been fired. I had to work the shift by myself on a Saturday because the owner told me I had to. What a pain! It was a mess. When I got paid the next day, I went in to get my check. Owner didn't hire me. Manager did. So he said he couldn't check my hiring information and couldn't pay me. Not at all. For work for at least 2 weeks. I left because of this. After a few weeks, my partner and I went back and drank the place dry. I gave the bartender cash for his tip and told him to put it on the owner's tab when he brought us the bill. It closed down and is now a jewel store. In a factory where I worked as a senior production supervisor, I needed an office to keep all the paperwork that came with my job. My manager thought that the son of the boss needed my office more than I did because he was more important. He had just graduated from college and didn't know his elbow from his A. His job at the company was to go around and ask the staff what they thought so that new creative ideas could be put into action. You only need a notebook to write down ideas and give them to Daddy. I no longer had an office, and my boss told me at 8 a.m. to do my work in the canteen. So I asked where you thought I should put my 3 filing cabinets. Maybe in the bathroom? He told her, "You know where the door is if you don't like it." Okay, that's fine. See you around. Put my crap in my car and drove home. 15 missed calls by 3 p.m. asking for help. Everything I did was aimed at the owner's son. The owner comes by the next morning and asks for my contact list so they can get things done. That's not my contact list. I brought it to work with me. That means it leaves with me too. Said I was being unreasonable. I laughed at him and told him to ask the manager to talk to people he knows to help solve the problem, even though I knew the manager had no contacts at all. Had a great 3 months off, and a competitor called to say, "When you're ready to go back to work, give us a call." Now I work for a competitor and get an extra $20,000 a year. I'm also treated like family there, while I was treated like crap by the first company. They shut down in 2010, which made me laugh out loud. What is your silliest and most ridiculous HOA story, part 2? A really cool landlord let me rent a place. Since I didn't live in an HOA when I moved in, he didn't talk about them. Makes sense, right? He would sometimes drive over in his big loud diesel truck and park in front of this woman's house across the street while he talked to her. We'd have a few beers and talk about cars and other things. Because I liked having him over, I never really thought about why he came when he did or why he never turned off his truck while he was there. People across the street move in one day and are really nice. My garage door is always open, so I was in there when I heard them meet the woman across the street for the first time. She tells them I'm a pain because my garage is always open, my radio is on, my motorcycle is out, I have friends over, etc. She says she's called her HOA, but they can't do anything because their boundary is on her side of the street and I'm not in it. When I laughed, I called my landlord and told him about this. He told me that every time she called, he would tell her that he would come see me to keep the peace, but he would leave his truck running in front of her house to make her even angrier. He thought she would stop calling eventually, which she did. I bought my house in the summer of 2016. This is the 4th violation notice I've gotten since I moved in 14 months ago. I've gotten one every month since then. The first notice told me that my roof needed to be cleaned because it was dirty. The previous owner got in trouble with the HOA for the same thing while we were in escrow, I remembered. I looked into how much it costs to have your roof cleaned, and I didn't want to pay $1,000 a year for someone to use a pressure washer and possibly damage my roof to clean it. I bought a spray and forget cleaner for $70 and asked for extra time to wait 3 to 6 months. Was given 30 days. Inspector didn't bother to tell me that the violation was cleared. Roof looks pretty much the same now, and it did from the start. The second notice was for a yard that was dirty. The day I got the notice, I used Amazon Prime to buy a pressure washer. Got here the day before my 15-day notice was due. I used pressure to clean my driveway, which wasn't really dirty, but had paint that was coming off. The violation was fixed, and the driveway looked the same. The third note said that I needed to paint my fence. This notice told me exactly what color and brand of paint I needed to buy to match the fences in the neighborhood. However, I still had to fill out an application for architectural improvement in order to paint the fence that they told me to paint. I went out and bought the paint. Along with the application, I sent a picture of the color code on the paint can lid. I got back to them and was told that I needed to send the paint selection chip in person. I didn't buy the required color because of the sticker on the lid. I bought the color because of the sample chip on the rack, which doesn't say what color I bought. Because of this stupidity, I had to waste another 30 minutes driving back to Home Depot. I still don't have permission to paint the fence they told me to paint at the beginning of December. My extra time is good until the beginning of February. All this red tape for a 6-foot fence that can be seen from the street and doesn't look too bad. Fourth notice, I need to clean up rust stains on my outside walls. It came this Monday, rust spots that come from the irrigation system that the HOA controls. Rust marks that can't be seen from the street. Not my story, but the story of my uncle and aunt. For the first time since the neighborhood opened, they moved into this brand new house. They have remodeled the house twice as much since they moved in, adding an in-ground pool with a cabana, a whole new deck, finished the basement, and added rooms and a garage. They would always get permit and approval needed for the projects, and without fail, their HOA would start fining them for things like leaving construction material in the street or improper disposal of materials. Being a lawyer, my uncle would always talk to the HOA about his fines, and they would drop them pretty quickly. They were either forgetful or really determined to find a guy who was raising the values of homes in the neighborhood. It was funny. We have an HOA that's pretty crazy. Our dream forever home is the house we bought in April of last year. We plan to move in a few years. It's full of nosy retired people who tell on each other. Our family is one of a few younger ones that are being targeted. We built a 15-foot pool in the backyard. It's been up for almost a month. We get a notice to take it down the day after our housewarming party. $50 fine. We didn't pay for it. As summer goes on, we get a notice to take it down every month, and the fines keep going up. There are the rules that we asked for but never got when we moved in. It takes them all summer to get back to us, and when they do, they send us a page that says there are no pools. There's no reason. There aren't any pools. Our yard is fenced in. The fines are up to $500, and we send a certified letter saying that we drained the pool and it was empty. It had those PVC frames. After another month, they get back to you and say the fines have been lowered to $250. Forget about it. It went down to $150 and then to $50 after a while. We stayed away from them still. We need to pay our dues soon so that we can go suck it up at the one open meeting a year in February. It won't let you attend apparently if you owe dues. We also have a big lake that the HOA takes care of, but they don't keep anything up. No dock or way to get to it, and weeds are 12 feet high all around it. There should be a common area where we can have a picnic and go boating on it. You can't, though. When we wrote to ask when they were going to clean it up, they said that a dock and cleaning would be too expensive. So what do you do with the $15,000 you get in dues every year? I'm thinking of running for the board to see how nutty these old people really are. Edit. The meeting went better than I imagined. First of all, there were a lot of people who were dissatisfied with the work of the HOA. The young families didn't like how the HOA constantly hounded them and threatened to fine them for no reason. So, by collective vote, it was decided to dissolve the current board and elect a new one. Now I'm a member of this board and intend to restore order here. And I'm going to begin with dealing with the finances. I'm really interested in what the dues money is being used for. If you want to watch the part 1, click the link here. Thank you for subscribing, the likes and comments. We're very happy to see you all in the comments too. Thanks for your support.